All right. Good?
Yep.
All right, here's my next one from YouTube, and the name is Chia Bug, and they say, do you believe that a divorced man or woman can get remarried? I only see a widow or widower for the, I'm trying to put these words together, for the blood covenant, which most don't observe in our area, and that's it.
This is what Jesus said. And so this is out of Matthew chapter 19, and it says in verse 3, the Pharisees also came to him, testing him and saying to him, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for just any reason? And he answered and said to them, have you not read that he who made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So then they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let not man separate. And so in answering their question about divorce, he defines marriage for them and defines it as between a male and a female, and something that was designed by God. God brought them together, and the fact that they become one flesh and don't separate what God has put together. So that's pretty straightforward. Then they get more specific with him, and they quote from a passage out of Deuteronomy chapter 24, and they say to him, why then did Moses command to give a certificate of divorce and to put her away? And so they're making the point that God allows divorce, and he does. It is in Scripture. And he said to them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, permitted you to divorce your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife except for sexual immorality and marries another commits adultery, and whoever marries her who is divorced commits adultery. And so obviously in that passage, what Jesus does is he lets them know that unless your wife has been sexually immoral, if you divorce her and you get remarried, you're committing adultery. And so obviously, if your wife has been sexually immoral and you remarry, you are not committing adultery. So yeah, Jesus said that there are people who can get divorced and then can get remarried. The other passage is in 1 Corinthians 7, but that pretty much answers your question right there. And Jesus in the Gospel of Mark applies this to women also. And so it's not just men. I've seen people say only men can get divorced and get remarried. And no, it's men and women. And so God's no respecter of persons in that instance. And so good.
Yep, there you go. All right, Bonnie, I have your question here on Romans 9. I'm going to save it for next week because I know Steve can't answer that in 5 minutes. Also, it's going to be, not to throw this out again, but it's going to be on my list of podcasts just to do a long-form show on that because it's such a common thing that comes up and it takes time to unpack. So I'll get it next week. If not, check our podcast out coming up here shortly.
I saw that. It's a good question.